Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
This is the House Party Edition. Wow. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man ready for a party himself, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hello to everyone, Tom.
Deja vu like a motherfucker. Some self-aware sequel filmmaking there.
Yeah.
And a foreshadow of the signature style of the series, which is to look straight in the lens and deliver a line.
Deliver at least, yeah. Deliver a line and often the last line of a movie.
Yeah. And in the fourth movie, this just explodes, this tendency.
It really goes nuts.
Into the lens. You know, what is this? On Her Majesty's Secret Service? Come on.
We couldn't get it out a minute and 15 seconds into this thing.
I saw it. If I'm being perfectly honest, I saw an opening and I took it.
So, I saw that what I thought were all the House Party movies were on HBO Max, and I sent you a text and said, "Wow, so House Party movies are leaving. Should we do this?" And you came back with a resounding yes.
Yeah. I didn't know how much of a resounding yes it was until I started to watch them. And then
Right.
I was like, yeah, this is a significant series for us.
Yeah.
But that enthusiasm
Waned
fairly quickly. Because you started to allude to the second half of this story.
Right. So
which is actually quite consistent with our behavior over the
with
past few years.
Behavior, yes. I was trying to make sure I watched all of the sequels before I left on a little mini vacation, a little weekend getaway.
Yeah.
And as I'm doing research, trying to look up budgets and stuff that wouldn't reveal themselves easily to me, because at least one of these more than one, but at that time, what I thought was one of these movies was a direct-to-video release, and so what do you do about that? So I'm looking up everything.
I would have gone fan film myself, but
yes. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Just to discover that there was a fifth movie.
Yes.
And what was your response?
Bearing in mind though that this wasn't a line.
Right.
I pretty instantly responded to your text, which had a graphic of the movie and something coy like, "Oops, we missed one." And I replied simply with, "It can go fuck itself," which was that was my initial reaction. And after a while, I backed off and thought, for completion's sake, we should cover it. We didn't have to do it by any deadline because we had to pay for it, which is its own kind of...
No matter what.
Yeah. So...
like Naked Gun 33 and a third.
Yeah.
That was the final insult.
Well, it's interesting because you want to tell the listeners what you briefly considered doing after you found out about this final film.
Did I say something to you?
Yeah, you
no, you're right.
You told me.
You're right. I forgot that I shared that with you. Oh my God. Yes, for the briefest of moments, upon seeing that this movie existed, I did say to myself, should I tell Tom that it exists?
So you had a sense of what this news might do to me, I think.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's fine. I looked back at that text and thought, oh, he probably thinks I'm joking. And so next time I see him, I'll be like, "No, I wasn't joking.
I wasn't
really,
joking.
in the moment, wanted it to go fuck itself."
Is that what you said? I thought I remembered you saying, "Oh, it can fuck right the fuck off" or something like
No, it can go fuck itself.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Simple as that. That's why it was so tightly written, because there was nothing behind it except venom. It's easy to be concise when there's one emotion to express.
You know what I think I remember thinking? I think I talked to you about this off air. I think I remember thinking, it sounds like that's got a lot of venom in it.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you can't read intent behind text.
And sometimes
so
you can.
I think he was going for humor. Turns out I was right on the first count.
Under normal circumstances, I would be, because I love doing this podcast, whatever challenges we're faced with. But this felt like a step too far.
Yes. I felt the same.
In the words of what's his name? What's the Billy from Gremlins? Is his name Billy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the words of Billy from Gremlins. They just pushed him too far.
Yeah, exactly right.
Gremlins 2, the new batch, of course. I don't need to tell you that.
No, of course not. So it's funny because when I first saw that the House Party movies were on HBO, I thought, I think we really have to do this because it just feels like such a departure for us.
Yeah,
we haven't done any kind of movie like this,
That's how I responded to it.
Actually, Gremlins 2, the new batch, is about as close.
Yeah, like fun, silly,
to these movies as possible. Yeah,
fun, silly entertainment packages. Yeah, we weirdly have not done many of those, and you'd think doing a sequel podcast that's all we would do, but it's actually not the case at all.
Right.
But as sequels, these make some very interesting choices, the likes of which we haven't encountered before. So they're adding to our knowledge of the language of sequels as well. So I don't want to, whilst generically I think this is a departure. It adds to the database significantly.
Exactly right. And I mean, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to rank and declare for the House Party movies.
Sure.
Tom, I don't think I'm gonna be surprised if you tell me you have not seen any of these movies, including the original.
Okay.
Is that true?
How do you want me to respond to this? Do you want me to
just tell me I'm right?
Simply, do you want me to explain myself or simply confirm what you just said? Because I could do either.
Yeah, go ahead. I would like to hear your explanation. That sounds
it actually
delightful.
It actually goes further than that. Of course, consistent with my behavior historically as a film goer. I have not seen House Party. I have also not seen any of these sequels. It's not another stakeout situation. I have not seen any of these films either. But more to the point, I had never seen Kid and Play in live action before. My knowledge of them goes up to the cartoon and not beyond.
Okay.
So it was quite startling to see Kid for the first time in live action. Because that man belongs in a cartoon.
He does.
He looks like a human Matt Groening character. those viral images that people do where they're like, if the Simpsons were real, this is what they would look like. Kid is Bart Simpson in that formulation.
Absolutely. Yep.
He's like a cross between Bart Simpson and the rabbit from Life is Hell, the Matt Groening comic strip. So I'm a lot more comfortable with Kid as a cartoon character than a human being.
Than live and in person.
Yes.
All right.
So my usual ignorance was even more so in this case.
Would you be
How about you?
surprised to know? Yeah, I was going to ask, would you be surprised to know I have not seen any of these sequels?
No.
And I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've seen the original. I don't think I ever
Interesting.
saw it. Yeah.
So it's
Passed
the
by me.
It's the blind leading the blind.
Yes, exactly right.
And I was also interested to, because I basically had to extrapolate everything about these movies and everything about Kid and Play by just watching the movies and then reading about them. And what I had it, I obviously had seen the cartoon at some point as a kid. And
See, I don't even remember that there was a cartoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, it was startling. The humanization of these guys is startling to me. So, yeah, it's a difficult one because in the back of my mind there were a kind of footnote in African American comedy and music.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I read about it, the more I realized, that there's an alternate reality where Kid and Play, are the biggest stars in Hollywood, and Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff,
right,
currently occupy the cultural status of Kid and Play. Because
that's the thing
two
that
instances where either could have filled
right
in the roles of the other historically. Do you know about this?
Well, no, I don't. But if you're about to tell me that Christopher Reeve was up for Independence Day, then
no. Well,
that's a movie. That's a movie that I think I would, love to see an alternate version of that movie with him in it. That would be funny to me.
I might even prefer that version. But especially if he was cast as one of the aliens. He could be the guy.
No, see, I'd like to see him in the cockpit of a plane with the hair.
It feels like that's a Hot Shots joke somewhere.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So, as far as I can tell, in the little bit of research that I've done, House Party was offered to Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff. And
okay. All
Fresh
right.
Prince of Bel-Air was originally offered to
The other way? Oh,
Kid
wow.
and Play. So there is an alternate reality in which they both have very different career trajectories.
It's funny because I always felt like...
Kid ends up at the opera slapping... Well, it wouldn't be Chris Rock. Who would it be? Slapping Dave Chappelle with his... probably with his hair. Used as a weapon.
Yeah, in regards to Kid and Play and then Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff, I think I always just dismissed Kid and Play as the lesser duo?
Yeah,
or
comedy music duo, I guess.
Comedy music duo, yeah, exactly.
Acting music duo, maybe.
Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff were always more forefront in my mind.
Yeah, but clearly...
And it might even be why I never saw the original.
But clearly there was a time where Kid and Play were considered...
right.
They were considered the number one choice above... That's what fascinates me about this.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the story of... first of all, Kid and Play are only in two of these movies. We're only talking about half the series.
I know,
yes,
right.
Kid and Play.
Yeah. No, I guess that's not true. I mean, you certainly go through the credits.
Okay, in any meaningful way, it's true.
In any meaningful way, that is true. But they do appear in 3 of these movies.
In House Party 5, which I've already... What is it called? Burn the House Down? Or is that just how I feel after I've seen it?
No, that's just how you feel.
Bring the House Down? Something like that? Yeah?
That sounds about right.
I tell you, I had
No.
I'll tell you about a panic.
Is it Tonight's the Night? I think it's Tonight's the Night.
What is Bring the House Down then?
Is that the 4th one?
Okay. I see. I think I think it's called Bringing Down the House. Now, I had a very...
No, because the 4th one's down to the last minute.
Right. No, but I haven't told you about this, okay? So I
Oh,
was
okay.
watching Tonight's the Night, which I've now learned that it is called, and obviously wasn't aware at the time that's what it's called. And I was going on IMDb because I like to have IMDb up while I'm watching the movies in case I want to fact check. And what came up was like an alternate version, what looked like an alternate version of the film called "Bringing House Party 5: Bringing Down the House," and so I had a good 2 or 3 minutes
what?
of there is another House Party film, and then finally I managed to confirm that it was a promotional movie made for the release of Tonight's the Night.
Wow.
A 30-minute promotional movie. And for a second I was like, they can't do because what it looked like is that this was either the precursor or sequel to Tonight's the Night.
Right.
And at that point, you can imagine
You're hurting my soul. Stop it. Stop it.
you can imagine. We
We were going to do this because it was a trilogy of sequels, and we were going to be done.
You can imagine how far and thoroughly that movie could have fucked itself.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even tell you about that, and I've just remembered it now. And that's why I thought this was called Bring the House Down. Just a better title, actually. Because that actually happens in the movie, that part of the house comes down. So it would have been a nice pun. Not giving a movie from 2013 notes, except I absolutely am.
Oh, man, that is funny.
So,
all right.
Yeah, let's... So we both haven't seen the original. It's The Blind Leading the Blind.
That's
clearly
true, yeah.
neither of us know that much about Kid and Play either.
Nope.
So this should be fun.
I don't think I know a single song of their music.
At least we're two guys talking.
I mean, yeah.
At least we're two white guys talking about a historically African American series going in with no foreknowledge. That's all.
Yes.
That's so important when you're doing something outside your comfort zone that you know absolutely nothing about it.
I'm starting to think we should shut up right now. Who are we to judge?
Yeah. Well.
Oh,
exactly.
That's amazing. I mean, I think you know this about me by now. I literally have. You're so much better at this. I have no RAM in my head for music. I know a Beatles song when I hear it. I think I've said this to you before, but I can't name 5 by title. I know them when I hear them.
You're more of a soundtrack guy, aren't you?
Yeah, and I was the kid who bought soundtracks.
Well, that's music.
And it is. But I could tell you what movie a song has been in long before I could ever recite any lyrics or tell you the title of the song.
So had you heard of any of the acts that were in these movies? Besides Kid and Play? I don't think we should set the bar that low for you.
I realized that they were a duo. But the other groups I had to keep looking up to confirm my idea that they were groups. And I want to say that sometimes they were and sometimes they weren't.
Right, yeah. And some of them I was blindsided by, and then others I sort of couldn't quite believe it was them. They were that famous.
Oh, see, because I remember having... Yeah, okay. No, there are some where
at least one of them, and that's the other thing that strikes me about the the Kid and Play half of this series is that in terms of actors and musical acts, they are surrounded by people who went on to be a lot more significant, famous, and long-lasting than they were.
Right.
Almost the point where it kind of feels like a curse. Like if you're in a movie with Kid and Play, you become more famous, they become less famous, right?
Oh man.
Because there's a few examples in these two movies of like people who are just superstars after this, And you know,
Mm-hmm.
Key and Play. I'm gonna have to. I will say
You're,
Key and Peele.
you're gonna
a
say
lot.
Key and Peele for sure.
I'm gonna
yeah.
say Key and Peele a lot by mistake and also intentionally, because a lot of Key and Peele's comedy refers specifically to the kind
Yeah.
of entertainment that Kid and Play produce.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the Kid and Play recede, and everyone else in them featured in their movies gets more and more famous as time goes on,
Right.
which I find fascinating. But it makes me kind of sad for them, because
Right.
these are their movies and they're kind of eclipsed in them repeatedly in both movies.
Are they in both? I could certainly think in two. Like the main group
There's
in three.
actually probably the biggest one is in. I don't know. I don't know if you want me to tease it or just say it out loud. The biggest one is in the biggest elephant in the room is in 3, I think.
Maybe it's just been too long since I watched it and I can't remember.
Well, TLC feature in it.
Oh, that's right. So
before
TLC is
yeah.
in it. So,
And they,
but
you know.
it's the other group. What's the name of the other group in that movie?
Well, the name of the group is
Sex as a Weapon.
Sex is a
Sex
Weapon.
as
That
a
is
Weapon.
TLC. The same. They're called Sex. They're Sex in the Weapon in world, but they're TLC in.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know what happened with Immature, but puberty happened. But I mean, beyond that, I don't know what they did career-wise.
All right. Yeah, I forgot about Immature.
It's yeah. You see, you know, no matter what.
But
the genre,
all of Sex as a Weapon
sequels have got to have kids. Yeah, the 3 of
is
them.
all.
Yeah, 3 of them.
And
are
they're
TLC.
all. I thought I read something else. I thought that I read that, or maybe it's. I thought that they had petered out or something. I read. Is TLC still going strong?
No, they're not still going strong, but one of them's dead.
Okay.
Which doesn't help.
Okay. Yes.
They really took off in the late 90s, early 2000s.
No, that I do remember. Yeah.
So, House Party 3 is 94, so
Mm-hmm.
they're ascending at this point, and then they took off
Okay.
after it, which is inverse to what happens with Kid and Play.
All right. Well, thanks for straightening that out for me.
I don't think I did. Again, blind leading the blind. I offered a counter explanation that was equally full of holes.
I'm feeling deeply uncomfortable with how ill-equipped I am to talk about any of this. Thank God you're here.
I think it makes it more tragic that I'm the person you're going to for verification.
I know.
Because at least
man.
you're American. I'm
Yeah.
white and British. I should really know less about this than you. The fact that I don't is scary.
But as previously stated, I was just the stupid kid who was buying soundtracks to movies.
Yeah.
You know?
You knew everything there was to know about Vangelis, but but it never ventured into Kid and Play.
I'll say.
Good sex music, according to you.
I mean, let's. I feel like we're stalling. What you know, in terms of say ranking,
Yes.
as I always ask you,
Yes.
difficult, easy, problems. How do you feel?
Here's how I see it. There's a struggle for dominance at the top.
Oh,
There's a
not for
struggle
me.
dominance at the bottom. And halfway down the list, a wide chasm the likes of which we have never seen
Okay,
on this show.
fine.
That's how I feel about it.
I feel like the chasm is between the top and the rest.
Oh, okay. I do not feel that way.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting. Given that as we've established, neither of our opinions are in any way valid.
Yes, of course.
I'm glad we have a different kind of invalidity in
Yeah.
our opinions. Well, I want to ask more about that.
To me, there is only one movie in this entire, well, sequel series. Haven't seen the original, but in terms of the sequels, there is only one movie that I was utterly charmed by, that went down so easy, that I thought was, other than a few cringy moments, a real delight to watch. And all of these movies have like it, you know, I feel like as the series goes on, it gets harder to watch. There's
Which,
more,
you know, historically should not happen, but
yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
does.
Because as time marches on, we should be better about those things.
Right, yeah. But, yeah,
Not true for this series.
2013 is the worst of all these examples that you're talking about.
I literally finished watching that movie today, and I found myself shouting to the heavens in that moment, saying, "What are they doing?"
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I'm interested to know about your thought process though, because you're different. So you have a top two and a bottom two, and there's a wide berth between.
And what I mean is that the top two and the bottom two are very close, but you'd never confuse the top two with the bottom two in my list. They are, for want of a better word, segregated.
Jesus.
It's not going to help. That
Come
word
on,
isn't
Tom.
That word isn't going to help our current predicament, is it?
We're gonna get letters
You know what's terrible about that?
for the first time, I might add.
You know what? First time for this series.
Yeah.
You know what the worst part about that was, apart from the fact that I said it, was that
Yes.
I had a choice in my head between two words, and the other one was polarized, which wouldn't have got us in any trouble. And yet my brain went with segregated, and I just said it again.
Oh,
This is
shit.
where we need the podcast equivalent of technical difficulties, isn't it? This is where that's one thing about the podcast medium that's really
Yeah.
lacking. The ability
Yes.
to just kind of like make it seem as if we've accidentally gone off the air.
Don't worry, I'll just put a long beep.
Is there any way that you can make it look like it's buffering? When you do your editing?
Here I'm gonna add a circle,
Yeah.
a little color wheel. What is the audio equivalent of a color wheel?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man.
So, and
Can I ask you a basic question that
yeah.
I don't know if it means that you'll be revealing more than you want to right now,
Sure.
but is your chasm, does it separate
Ask
2 and
anything
3
you want
from
about my chasm, like...
2 and 3 from 4 and 5?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the chasm in question.
Okay.
It's my favorite game show, by the way. Chasm in question.
The chasm in question. You and I need to start writing and just cold submitting to SNL.
Yeah, absolutely. That
would be great on SNL.
It'd be, it's like a sign-off line that you could develop into a show. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's the chasm in question.
That is the chasm in question.
So
Okay.
I think 2 and 3 are close, and 4 and 5 are close for very different reasons. But the top pair and the bottom pair are nowhere near each other.
That in spirit, I agree with.
Yeah.
But some of the rot that is manifests itself so obviously to me in 4 and 5 is present in 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to let my cat out of the bag. That's why I have 2. House Party 2 is far and above, way at the top of my list. I recognize this as a movie, as a sequel, doing sequel things.
Very low bar.
And
You, sir, have made a movie.
that's what more can I ask of the House Party series? You have made at least one movie. And Yeah, I mean, I outright said it earlier. I found House Party 2 to be very, very charming. I really liked that movie. So it's at the
Um,
top of my list.
yeah. Well, it's obviously I've already given away that it's close to the top of mine. So the struggle I had, the struggle for dominance I referred to, is about me having to strongly consider what I value in a comedy.
Hmm.
Is it more important that a comedy has sincerity, or that it's a better entertainment package? And that's what I'm wrestling with the House Party 2 and House Party 3. One I respond to far more as an entertainment package than the other, and another one I feel like beats, and then one beats the other in terms of sincerity, authenticity.
I think
Like you say, recognizably being a movie.
Yeah, for me, I think both of those are two more than three.
I found two lacking
That set of
as an out and
criteria.
out comedy, but I
Oh, I think
appreciated
it's
that it restrained itself from a lot of low hanging fruit,
hmm
and there was a neutral approach to certain scenes that I actually ended up kind of admiring, even though I laughed far more when it came to House Party 3.
Oh, okay.
So, but eventually I came down on the side of I think it's rarer, especially these days, for there to be any sincerity in movie comedy. So I think in the end that is slightly more valuable, and I will concur with your ranking and put House Party 2 at the top of my list. Even though if you'd asked me which is the better out and out comedy, I would have said House Party 3.
I think you're wrong on that count, but I think you're putting House Party 2 at the top means that the podcast can go on.
Okay, that's a reason to pull it. Not everything we've just talked about before we started ranking.
No, yes, right.
That's the reason
Well,
to pull it. This is a footnote at this point.
I literally today, as we were getting on, I was laughing to myself because, and we've told this story several times now, but when we started the podcast, we started with the Superman series, and I said, Tom, obviously there's only one way to go, right?
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4. That's the order. Don't fuck around. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you threw a big old spanner in the works because you said no. 3 is the superior
Big
film.
Richard Pryor shaped spanner, yes.
Yeah. And then we talked about Superman and Man of Steel. And at the end of Superman, the question was, is this the best film in the series? And I begrudgingly at the time said, yes, I think it is. But man, I really sure like that Superman 2 still.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I went and saw it in the theater. And at the time you had said, Mike, it's a deeply flawed film.
Yeah.
But I stuck up for its ending and I did this. But then we saw it in the theater and I thought, this is a deeply flawed film. So much more flawed than I ever thought. Tom might be right. Superman 3 might be better.
Well, flash forward to 3 years from now, and you'll be thinking the same about House Party 3.
Oh, I don't know.
I totally agree with you. I think House Party 2 is a better all-round movie.
All right.
And that's why it's at the top of my list. But, you know, comedy is subjective, and House Party 3 got to me. It gave me belly laughs a lot of the time.
All right.
In a way that House Party 2 didn't, but I didn't need it to either. Which is, you know, I the next morning I respected House Party 2 more, but I had a better time. I had a better time with House Party 3.
Is House Party 3 is the movie that gave you cocaine.
Yes.
House Party 2 just gave you some booze. House Party 3 gave you cocaine.
Right. Yeah. So that's where I am. And not to take us on too much of a tangent, but it's interesting you should bring up Superman 3 because last night I was on YouTube and I watched all 18 minutes of the deleted scenes from Superman 3 that are in the extended TV cut. And did you know there's
You-
did you know
In
that
a
there's-
recent episode, you yelled at me about going to watch a sequel or watching a sequel at home. Like, what are you
alternate
doing?
cuts don't count? No,
You were
18
talking
it's
about
only
me
18 minutes of my
protecting
time.
my sanity.
It's only 18
out.
minutes of my time. But did you know that they actually filmed more of the slapstick sequence at the beginning? Quite a lot of the deleted scenes are from that. It was even longer on TV.
Oh, I do. I like that. That kind of makes me happy. It shows restraint.
Yeah. But you know, to go back to your original example, please God, Mike, tell me you think House Party 3 is a better movie than either 4 or 5.
I do. Like,
Good.
I mean, and
Okay.
I
Sanity
do
is
by
restored.
by a mile. I do
Yeah.
by a mile.
It's a country baker's mile.
Yes, absolutely. But when I was talking about The Rot, there are just too many jokes in 3 that are at the expense of minorities or, you know, people different than whatever, Kid and Play. I don't know, but there are expense at homosexuals. There are jokes at the expense of there's just too much going on in that movie that I could see influence 4 and 5, and so that made me go, gross.
2 is not without that, but it's very minimal.
I agree.
Compared to 3, and then
Yeah.
4 and 5, it grows exponentially like a virus. Yeah.
Yes. Very much so.
Okay. Well, okay.
So we're both
Well, so what
we're
about the
both
bottom?
2, 3,
What about the bottom of the list?
and then the bottom of the list. So I almost said this to you off air today. I don't know. Just looking at a picture of House Party 5 online, for some reason in my head, I thought I was going to see a much different movie. For some reason in my head, I thought I was going to see a movie that would be the second on my list. Like I
Wow.
walked up the steps happily today thinking,
Wow. You must have
Yay.
really liked Everyone Hates Chris. Or Everybody Hates Chris. Not Everyone Hates Chris.
and it was not that, my friend.
Okay. But is it worse
So-
than House Party 4?
Tom, it's
subtitle pending. What's it called?
subtitle to be determined.
What is it called?
Down to the last minute.
Down to the last minute. How can I forget that? That's the film in a nutshell.
Well, especially because it really does count down the last minutes.
Yeah, it really does.
It's there
Starting
is a
from the
ticking
beginning of the
clock.
movie, because the film is minutes long.
Oh gosh, Tom, it's tough.
Can I tell you? Well, to give you some time,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the struggle for dominance at the bottom of the list is for me,
Okay.
because it might not be what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
So, House Party 4, I've already forgotten.
Down to the last minute.
Down to the last minute is technically, unequivocally one of the worst films I've ever seen
Yeah.
in any context, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it better or worse that House Party 5, Tonight's the Night, is just a slicker version of the same bullshit?
Exactly. That's the. So I was having the same dilemma. I kept saying, "Well, House Party, Tonight's the Night. You know, it does look slicker. It feels like it's got more money behind it, but
Yeah.
it's the same exact shitty movie."
Exactly, yeah. And so is that better or worse? And a kind of related question, I suppose, would be, is it like
Okay, I have my answer.
okay.
I have my answer. At the end of the day, House Party 4 does not include comedy bits based on there's so much predatory behavior in House Party 5 that I'm going to say House Party 4 is third on my list. It goes in order 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, now that you've taken the moral bullet for me, I can I can just focus on the technical, and I'm gonna go with my gut on this one, even though it's very close, and I don't think it's enough that they got better at making direct-to-video movies between the fourth and the fifth film, which is really the only essential difference between them, right?
Yeah.
I still think House Party 4 is a spectacularly inept piece of filmmaking that deserves to be at the bottom of anyone's list in any context for any reason. Plan 9 from Outer Space has better production values than that movie.
I know.
So I'm going to put it at the bottom of the list because you took the bullet for me on morality, and I think House Party 5 is absolutely more abhorrent. It's House Party 4 is relatively inoffensive on that level. And the one thing that I really took issue with it on representationally, I then discovered I didn't need to be so concerned about, because I didn't realize who was playing the two roles until I looked at the credits. So that'll be a conversation for later.
That will be, and I know exactly what you're talking about
already. I
already.
Exactly what you're talking. What you're talking about, and it's I don't really know any other way to put it. Like I said, I thought this was, without knowing, I knew it was at least a direct-to-video release, but when it started, I thought, is this a fan film?
Much of one?
I was like, is this a fan film? Is this like literally?
Right.
There is no filmmaking competence anywhere to be seen in that movie.
No, not like not even an ounce. You can't wring out of the towel of House Party 4 like a single ounce of competency.
And the audacity to attempt a scene on a plane when your production values are a lot lower. That's the worst possible thing you can do. Again, Plan 9 from Outer Space level. The choices here.
Yes.
The great scene in Ed Wood where it's where's the cockpit? You're sitting in it. It's great.
And maybe I'll save it for when we get there. I'll save it when we get to the film itself.
You won't remember.
I will, because you're speaking about audacity, and there is an audacity moment in that film that boggles my mind.
Okay, I'll try and remember to prompt you about the audacity moment.
I know that I usually say I'll remember to tell you later, and then probably don't. This one's guaranteed.
This time it's gonna be different. With two white guys talking about the House Party series. It's what the world's been waiting for.
Yep. Well, if anybody's listening to this right now, I have to imagine they're not going to be too surprised to hear about good bad for the bottom of this series, right?
Yeah, there's no question.
There's just no question about it.
Yeah, to me it's there's no question that both of those films are bad,
right?
And that they're, given that we flipped them, that their badness is a close thing. Is that which is worse is a close thing, depending on your point of view. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say about the top two, because I feel like with what I've said previously on this episode, I'm gonna have to either call both of them good or both of them bad.
Interesting.
Because I think they're both ideas of what a comedy is that is at the same level for me.
Not for me.
Okay. So what are you going to say?
I'm going to say that House Party 2 is a good movie. And House Party 3 just does not quite get there for me. I was disappointed in House Party 3 a little bit. There's plenty of stuff in there that I like, but on the whole, compared to, I almost said compared to what I'd seen in the first two movies. That's not true. Compared to what I'd seen in
That's
just
what
House
you
Party
imagine the
2.
first movie to be.
Yeah, what I
absolutely.
imagined the first party to have been.
By the way, whatever we think that movie is, I bet it's totally different if our
I know,
experience is
right?
anything to go by. It's probably a drama set in like the Civil War South or something.
It's a fried green tomatoes type of story. Oh boy.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's where I come out.
Something we haven't mentioned about like what.
There are some things. Sorry to say this.
No.
There are some things that
Please
House
speak on
Party.
your own podcast.
Yeah, there are some things that House Party 3 does in terms of sequels that I admired so much that I really, really liked that were fascinating to me. But
it's also
those things come late, and it's not enough for me. It's,
Yeah. It's a new.
But it makes it close.
Close, good or bad being close, but not the movies being close.
No.
So, something I was interested in watching these movies, and where it is a departure for us, is the relationship between these movies. It's very clearly you can divide this series into two parts, but the relationship between each movie in each half of the series is different than we've seen before, because it's not like one is following on from the other. One is trying to supplant the other.
Yeah.
So you could take House Party 2. You could take it out of chronology, and House Party 3 would be a fine sequel to House Party.
You think?
No, I'm not in terms of quality, but in terms of like nothing.
I'm just saying you haven't seen House Party.
Right, but in House Party, but
I
nothing
understand
in
what
House
you're
Party.
saying.
Yeah, nothing in House Party 3 is necessitated by anything that happens in House Party 2.
No. Right.
And likewise, at the bottom of the list with 4 and 5, they're essentially the same movie, and one is just trying to be a different version of. Is just a do-over of the other.
Yeah.
They can both exist independent of each other, and I think House Party 2 and 3 can as well. Actually, though,
I agree with that.
Even though Kid and Play are the commonality, it's not
the
Kid
commonalities.
And
4 and 5, I mean, one of them, they make an appearance at the end of 5. But other than that, and by title only, that each movie has a house party, but that's it. I mean, it's not. There's nothing connecting them to anything in the rest of the series.
It kind of reminds me how the Home Alone series went on, where originally it was like following one character, and then it just became the idea of a kid being abandoned by his parents and burglars trying to get in, and like if you had that, you could sort of do anything you wanted with it. It didn't need to be the same kid, same burglars, same house, nothing.
Sure.
And it's kind of but although it's also interesting, like if you look how each film's idea of the house party is different. Like it starts at a different point in the movie. It's introduced at a different point.
Right.
The idea is introduced at a different point in the movie. And as far as we know, House Party is about a house party, but not all of these films are necessarily. Some of them are just about house parties, and others are kind of like grow into their house partiness as they go on.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if you
everything in
take a look at the first sequel and the last sequel, the house party starts with maybe a half hour left in the movie in House Party 2.
Right.
And House Party 5, it's starting in the first 15 minutes.
An hour and 10 minutes of a house party.
So much story happens in the first 30 minutes that my note was, how is there an hour left in this movie?
Right.
Because it feels like it's almost done. Except for the fact that the one person who showed up, you knew was not the person who was supposed to show up. That was an obvious.
Yeah, you've seen Waiting for Guffman, you understand what's going on.
Yeah, other than that loose thread,
the kids go,
everything else is.
Because if I was going to try to make a movie that appealed to young people, Waiting for Guffman is the way I go. It's just like the kids are always talking about Christopher Guest mockumentaries, so that's the plot line I'd rip from.
All right, well, are you stalling? Where are you?
Have I not declared?
Both good or both bad? Is
I
where
haven't.
you said
Must be stalling because I wasn't. I thought I had already declared. Yeah, I have to say they're either both good and both bad, and again, I'm gonna use the cop out that we always use. I'm judging them against what they're supposed to be, which is light comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Light comedies with music, and I think they're both good. I think in that with that anchor, they're both good.
All right. I like that we're of similar minds, but there is disparity.
Yeah, I thought you'd respond a lot more to House Party 3 than you have, and I'm interested to see what didn't work on you versus what clearly apparently worked on me. Aside from the fact that it's the third movie in the series.
Per usual.
Well, I don't know. I've managed to I've been playing against type for so long. And I don't think it's it's not top of the list for me. But
true.
I certainly it could have been, and I think it's worthy of comment because it's a different idea of what this. It's the same story, but a different idea of what it could be. That I think is just as legitimate as what they do in House Party 2, even though legitimacy is clearly, in a cultural sense, is what House Party 2 is going for, and House Party 3 is like the opposite. It's almost like we want to get down and dirty again. And I think both of those ideas of this.
So, does that mean that you're assuming that the first House Party is down and dirty? What are you basing that on?
Well, I don't think it's an aspirational college film.
No, well, it's definitely not that.
Which House Party 2 is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm judging. That's what I'm judging. But we'll save it because I've got a lot to say about the way that House Party 2 uses college as a way to kind of legitimize itself as a narrative rather than a base comedy.
Okay, I look forward to it. So, let's see. We both have 2 at the top, but you far more narrowly.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by 3, and then we flip the bottoms.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go 4-5, and you're going 5-4. And for very different reasons, which I find interesting.
Yes, that's what I did do, yes. It's hard to remember which is 5 and which is 4.
Not for me.
Also, they're two,
even though they're the same story.
Have we ever had a series where we've had 2 footnotes in a row, like 2 completely insignificant movies in a series?
That's a good
one
question.
One after the other, yet?
I don't think so. Not like this.
Not like this, no.
Nothing is coming to mind.
No. Even Terminator Salvation, is buffered by Janice Wise and Dark Fate on the other side. Right? No.
And I was gonna say it's not 2, but I was gonna say even Weekend at Bernie's 2 has something more to offer than 4 or 5 of the House Party films.
I don't see the comparison. I'm sorry. Absolutely, as we absolutely said with no regret, that is a complete masterpiece of bad cinema. There's no joy.
Agreed.
There's no joy to be had in House Party 4.
No. Nope. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to tell us what you think of the House Party series. Do one of us have it right? Does the other have it wrong? You're going to have to tell us.
Are we both wrong? That the answer
yeah,
to
we
that
might
is yes.
be. Right?
And we know that going in, so get off our backs.
We look forward to you finding us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, sending an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com to tell us what masterpieces House Party 4 and 5 are. I'd like to hear that pitch.
Probably, every film means something to someone.
Yeah. If you catch the right person at the right time at the right age,
Yep,
somebody will love that movie.
that's right.
Yeah. All right. That's it. When you hear us next, we're going to be talking House Party 2. Look forward to that. In the meantime, go ahead and tell us what you think of the House Party series. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. We'll be back just as soon as you can hope. Well, in 1 week's time. And we'll be back with House Party 2.
That's less than most people's hopes. More than
Yeah.
ours.
Say goodbye to everyone, Tom.
Sequel! Said into the lens of the camera.
That's what
You
I
know
was.
what's great about that?
You tell me.
No, you're right. I have no follow-up to that. No, what's okay, so I'll rephrase it. So what's significant, interesting about that is that
What?
obviously, self-aware sequel filmmaking again, said directly
Right.
into the camera again. But it's almost as if even they are laughing off the possibility of there being another
I
film.
know.
And at the time, I thought they were right to laugh it off. And then I discovered that there is a sequel. So who is the joke on? That's what I want to know. Who is the joke on now?
I'll let the cat out of the bag since you've gone ahead and
I'm sorry.
fucked it up for everyone. That's my Audacity moment.
Oh. Well, now
does
now
that
you don't
movie
have to
think it
remember
is?
it, and now I don't have to remind you about it. You saved us both
Win-win.
jobs.
All right, fine.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.